Hello, Mark and Teresa from Out of Office Camping. In this video, I'm going to take the time to show you how I did a rear seat delete in the Ford Ranger with the Go Fast camper. I basically built a platform using 1/8 aluminum, which I bent on a bender. Now, some of these techniques and things that I'll be doing aren't things that you will be able to do at your home, but you may be able to, or you might have access to those things like local suppliers that have bending machines. It's a very simple process, but also plywood or even products such as EasyTube, which are very handy and something that I highly suggest looking into. Company out of Pennsylvania. Really simple building material, 1-inch tubing with connectors. So you can build a lot of great things with that product. But stay to the end of the video because I'm going to take the time to show you what's in the back of the truck and why I went this route. Now, I will say that, it really took a lot of time to think about how we're going to use the truck. And it wasn't something that I just came up with overnight. We got out there, we used the vehicle, we figured out what we were using, we figured out, what type of power consumption that we really needed. And with our cooler we've had for a while, so we basically built around a few things that we had, and then we added a few things, such as like the Blue Ridge Overland bags, which are a great soft bag solution made here in America, in Virginia, which is really wonderful. So stay tuned. I want to show you what I have in the back of the truck. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So here we have the start of the rear seat platform. We did the seat delete, of course. There's a few things that we're working with here. We have the cavities in both spots, and then we have the areas that are lifted. So the thoughts are basically to make a flat plate that's going to come out and then bend down. That's the thought. So that way it'll be elevated, and the plate will sit here on that side. It'll sit on that one, and then I'll have to make a spacer. I might have to make a few other spacers. It will be 2 plates in this area, so they could be easily taken out and removed. And then the idea of the actual sizes, or what I'm thinking of so far, is basically the space is about 52 inches across, 28 inches out, and then I have the hump in the middle, so I'll basically have to take into consideration that space itself, which is about 14 inches. So each panel will be about 26 by 28 with cutouts. And they'll just be, most likely, I'm thinking in the 1/8 or 0.125 50-52 aluminum. So right now I'm just working on cutting the template and measuring that all out to make my first piece with the cardboard I have. So we will keep going on this and see how this comes out with our template. What's interesting is if you saw the wind spoiler, this piece of cardboard is the same piece, and actually our drop down is going to be about 7 inches. So with that being said, the 28 will give me plenty of space to slide it back, or if I need to cut it, I can. The 7 will, with the level that I had put in there, I had a level, I just, because working off that, off the little humps there, I put the level across to go down to see what the distance was going to the floor there. So 7 inches is actually a little too much, but with the rubber mats in there, the Husky mats, it should actually sit right. And I'd actually prefer, with the platform to be sitting up at an angle, pitching back in case any weight loads on top. So that's the thought. Let's go ahead and get started with this. First piece of cardboard cut. So also, one thing I didn't really mention with the measurements, it's about 55, 56 from wall to wall. But with the seat belts, I really don't want to take all the seat belts out. So just left those in case the seat needs to go back in quickly for any reasons. So 52 inches, or 26, 28, and 7. And once again, the idea is that because this Husky mat is fairly soft, any kind of downward pressure, I have the measurements pretty accurate, pretty on. because it's going to push down, and I don't mind if it actually sits backwards. The other thing is, in some case that this comes up that I need a little bit more space, I can easily put some trim or molding on the bottom just to elevate that a little bit, since this is just free floating. And I can also take advantage of some of the hardware that's on here to attach things down. But I believe the place just sitting there should be fairly secure, but we'll see as we get further along how this all works out. Now, I should, in theory, be able to take this one, just walk around. It's the same template, both sides. So I know that the measurements actually should work out well, and what I can do is I can just let this sit here against this, do just a quick little small mark right in the middle there, and flip it. I could make another template too. But I know this is pretty good, and it doesn't matter if this needs to come over. So I have plenty of room to kind of go back and forth. The other thing that's pretty cool, as we're working, we were using the Devos light just on 2 zones. There's a little extra work light inside here. So they come in handy for all kinds of things. With there's this little twisty tie here by Nite Eyes. So let's go ahead and get our metal and figure out which way we're going with 1/8, or if we're going to do like a 1/16. I think I'm definitely going to stick with the 1/8 just because it's a little thicker, and it could probably handle the weight loads if we're putting a power station and cooler, because that's the idea, is the cooler will sit here, power station sits over there, and they pretty much stay in the vehicle at all times. Everything's marked out. Just a quick recap. A couple little notes. T's are always great. Put something on the top so you know what your tops are. Basically, I've gone ahead and measured that out at 52 inches. We have the 7 plus the 28 for a total of 35 inches coming up. So our bend to be down here, just working with our clean lines. You know, obviously that'd be a cut line out there, so I'll just smooth that one out. Driver side, passenger side, bend. And that'd be a 90-degree bend on that. Let's get to cutting. Everything's cut with both panels. I'm going to take the time to use this floppy disc. It's a 120 grit to kind of clean up the sides. Powered by the Bluetti AC 200 Max. Let's go ahead and get started and get these rounded off. Everything's sitting in. I was able to cut right around this little spot here. Right now I just have some temporary wood underneath because I will need to do some kind of spacers under here to make up for it. Also with the cavities, the little pockets that are underneath here, storage spots, I might just kind of keep the panel solid. I was thinking about maybe cutting it, but you know, since there's two panels, it's easy to lift this up, maybe just put things in there that aren't as critical, but if you need them, you know they're there. Maybe backup supplies and things like that. I also like to do some kind of carpet or rubber, maybe like a rubber mat, to keep things staying nice and stuck on here without having to spray it. So you just basically pull it off, and to keep things from sliding off, because the cooler sit on this side, the Bluetti sit on that side. The other thing that's great is with these rounded edges, if you're grabbing stuff in this area here, you're not really going to get hurt. Plus, with the door closing, there's no problem with this edge hitting that, so it's perfect fit. And I could take these and shorten this edge down, but I'm really pleased with how this came out. And I will most likely just do another, like just a piece of metal underneath this, like a strip that will kind of go across, and it'll get riveted to this side, so one piece sits on the other. And this kind of keeps them from, you know, the two just kind of almost falling in on each other. So just another support. So I've been working on everything. At this point in time, I'm pretty happy. I found, as you may have seen in some footage there, an easy up, which I had, which was steel. It was about 1.25 inches, and I needed about 1.5 inches. So I didn't find anything that I liked metal-wise that was going to work. And I wanted to kind of have something that was simple. And I didn't want to use wood. So the easy up tubes, being a very lightweight steel, worked out well. And I riveted those in. This panel here had a little piece that kind of lifted up, and this was hitting, so I actually cut that out so it kind of locks this panel in. Came in about 15.25 to match up. There's another section I'll show you of the other side over there, which sits on one of the trays, so that kind of keeps that panel from moving forward. I also, on this panel here, I just added like a lip. So since this right here is supporting this panel, when it rests on it, this can then help support this, and then this bar underneath supports, comes across. So they all kind of help each other in some way or another. Keep everything from moving around and keep it stiff. So, and since most of the weight, the cooler is sit here, the power station is sit there, I wanted that support a little bit closer, but there's definitely lots of room here up in there that I can put some stuff. Let's walk around. Underneath, there's lots of space. Let's see if we can see here. So you probably may or may not be able to see, but there's a lot of space under there which can be used, and since the cavities are there, and here is the easy up tube right in there. Let me go ahead and lift this panel up. So you can see this bar here is basically, I put it so it sits right up against this, and it's sitting on this. So the other one I actually had to do the spacer, which you saw, but this one with that piece of plastic there is about the right height. And then these two spots there support, you know, the back of the panel across. So we have the supports there, long supports here, and there's really nothing in the front. I may need to do something with that eventually, but being that the metal is bent, this distance right here should be plenty strong enough to support. The weight load is really going to be at the back end. And I might also try to do lockdowns. I thought these actually were threaded in there, but they're not. I have some grommets that I could put in here, but at this point in time, I'm just going to run this, see how it all goes with the setup, test it out. There you go. So once again, that kind of keeps that panel. So the weight load on this is going to keep this panel from really shifting forward. And then with this one over here, that little piece, that little tab, there we go, a little tab back there is probably enough with the weight load sitting on that to keep this panel from sliding forward. So there we have a rear seat delete with a platform made out of aluminum 1/8, which is the 50-55 and bent. And then this little strip here is actually just 1.5 inches that's riveted to that one. So once again, like I said, this can rest on that. All right. So next we are going to cut the rubber mat, and then we can start putting things on it. And eventually too, I might do some kind of tie downs. I have these spots here, but it'd be nice to have something on this back wall, maybe a molly panel or something, to be a little bit more organized with some more things and take advantage of this space. So that would be a future project. But for now, really pleased with how this came out. So let's go ahead and get the rubber mat cut. After running the seat delete platform for some time with the cooler and the power station, a couple things, doing some off-roading, I realized I really needed a better anchoring system. So what I've done here is I've removed all the carpet from the back. The seat belts are all bundled up, so I don't have to keep on pushing the OK, the seat belt's disconnected switch on the steering wheel. And I've put in this cargo track or L track. I've also included some of the hardware, so I've basically drilled these out, drilled out the metal right here, and put in one of the inserts, which is the 1/4 inch by 20 thread. Then I've taken my cargo track, which is not pre-drilled, and basically drilled it out according to my needs. So the top one I did for the full run, so I'd have a top, I could do the top anchors here, and now I'm basically working on the hardware and a little cardboard template. So the idea is here, this will come down, obviously it comes down 16 inches or so. I'm going to maybe try to see if I can get a tie back over there, and then it wraps around the power station, so that I can also do a strap around the back side. But I also have, for the upper power station, I'll have the tie down hooks just as well, and then up here I have another spot in case I want to put like maybe one of the Velcro bags from Blue Ridge Overland gear. So that's just a little bit as to what I'm doing right now. Just checking the template to make sure it seems to be okay. Next I'll put the other power station on top of that and just check for fitment, and then cut the metal and bend it all up. So now that I've put the other power station, I just wanted to show you a couple things here. So basically the cardboard template wraps around 3 inches over here on this side, and the reason for that is that if I put a strap anywhere on the back side, that piece of metal will have a nice soft radius curve on the corner allowing the strap to kind of come around without basically being cut. And the whole idea is, in case there was an accident, a crash, or just off-roading, that this is really anchored in there very securely in a couple different spots, so you don't have 100 pounds of energy flying forward, basically. And that's basically the idea here. And the cargo track on that side is to help also lock in the cooler. Now the handles come up around 13 inches. That lower cargo track is around 6. The upper one is like 19. So I may put a bar between the two to connect those. So basically just have a middle point where I can also do the soft straps to just lock somewhere in the middle. Keep it really simple. So just a quick update. What I've decided to do instead of bend the metal is basically just add another extra cargo 10 inches, and then basically the plate will attach to that. Now if all goes as planned, I won't really need any spacers, but that's the idea. Let me go ahead and show you the piece of metal that I've cut and ready to bend now. So here I have the piece of metal. Basically I got 16 inches down here. I did 6.5 up here. The holes are, off that line there are basically about a 5/8 up, just a hair over ½ an inch. And then from here to here, that is, well, so this is 10 inches across there, and then this will be bent 3 inches right here on this side. So we'll have the wings that wrap around on either side. So right here and right here will get bent. So I'm going to go ahead and bend those next. I have the plate all mounted on the cargo track, bolted to the top. Basically that's 8 inches out on the track itself. And then the returns that I was talking about that I bent, the straps can go around that. I most likely will do one more attachment point right here at this corner so that the plate is attached at the top and also at the bottom. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and put the other power station on top and just see how it looks. Now that you saw how everything was made, I'd like to do a quick walk around. And I don't know if it needs to be quick, but basically let's talk about what and how we're using the platform here. So you saw everything in there, saw all the pictures. Let me explain what we have inside here. So basically have the ARB air compressor with the tank. Right in there have just the shades for the windows and also a mat. Have a fan, have the Blue Ridge Overland gear bags. Those things are really absolutely awesome. Once again, made in Virginia. Now this one's just like, I just kind of had it attached right to the headrest, something that Teresa had come up with, which I thought was pretty good. Now this one holds the basically the tripods, a propane gauge, and just a couple miscellaneous things that I need to grab quickly for camera stuff and all that. We also have the first aid bag, which is really nice from them. The IceCo cooler, which I've had for some time now. Now behind here, basically I use like a roll of paper towel to keep the cooler from going too far back, mainly so that you can open the door without hitting anything. Now I also did take the time to remove some of my seatbelt components, which were, up here, and just kind of kept them down because I didn't want to be bothered by the sensor. So I have the L track, cargo track, which you saw, and also have the one that was down below. So also behind here have the Indeflate, just a two line system for filling tires back up. So that's basically my air stuff is all on this one side here, so I can just grab that and go. Let's go ahead and walk around, and actually before we can get over there, you can see that basically using the the O-rings or rings to the cargo track, and there's just so many different types of attachments that you can get with the cargo track or L track. Now when I did install these, I used the riv nut 1/4 inch by 20, and then I drilled the track out so that the screws would sit flush inside there. So that's what's going on right in here. Now the solar panels I do have coming through the back window and just going into the power station, which is that is the Bluetti AC 200 Max, and then also the B230 battery. So basically 4,096 watts, I believe. And you know, that's really key for us here on the East Coast with lots of trees and stuff. I have everything strapped in secure, and then strapped with the power station strapped back down to the power station and strapped back. And then I made the plate, which you saw also, and that strap goes around the plate. And then over here, basically same thing, have the straps that go back to the same type of rings on the cargo track down there. So let's go ahead and walk around so you can see the other side of the truck here and the different bags that I have over there. So on this side, we have the Blue Ridge, basically seat Molly panel, which is really nice. So in this bag, have all the USB cables up here, have basically just a little neck fan, which is really nice. And this bag basically has some of the different types of charging devices, like say for the GMRS radio or the cooler, in case we need to switch the cooler over to AC. The power brick is in there for that. So basically more electronic devices. Over in this one here, this is like the window screens to keep the bugs out. So that's what that one is. The large one down here, this one's all Milwaukee, the Milwaukee charger, and then Milwaukee batteries, because basically you use a lot of like different Milwaukee tools. This one has the collapsible cones, safety cones in there, which is, you know, we go to some of these state parks, if they have like a long drive in, we'll set those up so that people know not to come all the way in because the site's taken, because sometimes people don't know, even if it's, you know, they don't have, like you booked it, but they don't know. Have the jump box behind that. Also have the an extra larger fire extinguisher. Now normally down below here, I have the road flares. I also keep underneath here the jack's on the other side underneath the seat. This is the jack arm to crank it up, the crank arm. And then also have reflective triangles that are also in the underneath here, which is great. And I also typically keep a set of flip-flops just to have. And then all our business cards and all our handout material here. With the Bluetti power station, as you can see, once again, have everything strapped to another strap. And then also, normally in the back here, I carry like a portable boom box. And then also just have my landing pad for the drone. Behind the back here, this guy, I also have another Blue Ridge bag, which this is the power cable, just like an extra extension cord. So that can sit back there behind that. So that's, for the most part, everything in the truck. And it's just really nice to be able to grab it, you know, just have everything organized, especially with the Blue Ridge bags. You know, you can just very quickly just grab a bag and remove it, take them out. And then also, you know, we talked about this with these panels. The way these panels are, I can take the panel and basically like lift it up if I really needed to get something out of those little trays that are under there. But for the most part, I have everything out, easy to grab, everything that I need. And I'm also utilizing some of the, you know, the door space just as well. But that's, for the most part, the setup. Now, I chose to go with the power station on this side because on the driver's side, really don't do a whole lot over here. Everything happens from that side. So the awnings on that side of the truck, on the passenger side, the back of the truck, the way it's laid out, which has all the custom build out, which that'd be another video you'll see. It just allows us to basically access from that door all the way around. So everything happens on the passenger side to the back of the truck and then back to the cooler. And that's basically the setup. So thank you so much for coming along. Highly suggest, if you're not using your rear seat, it's just a lot of wasted space. As you can see, it was like, I think it was like 60 pounds or so. And this platform, it came into like 30 something. Of course, you know, you got the power station, that's like 100 and something. And then the cooler. So all that extra stuff does add up, but definitely a better use of space and quicker to grab things. And then I can still put a lot of like soft bags if I needed to, or anything else. I have lots of room in here to be able to put soft stuff, A couple things that I do try to do with the cooler is anything that sits in front of the cooler, like say for example, if I'm bringing stuff, I might take my little fan and put that there so it can keep things away from it, but it's also allows it to still vent. So that's pretty much the setup. So thanks for checking it out. If you like this content, we try to do a lot of original type of content, overlanding and camping. Be sure to take the time to subscribe, like, and comment. And let us know, what are you using in the back? Have you done a seat delete? Are you thinking about it? Have you checked out the EasyTube products? Do you have plywood? It's fun to make stuff and utilize your space and create incredible systems that allow you to be better organized. And that's really what it comes down to. So get out, have some fun. We'll see you on the next one.